If I knew just how much disappearing for 6 months would change my life, I would have done it so much sooner. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to just have a really honest conversation with you all on how my journey went when I disappeared for 6 months and all of the lessons I learned along the way. These are things I wish I knew before I started my own journey. Hopefully they provide some insight and advice for you. So before we dive on in, when I say disappear for 6 months, I'm kind of referencing that social media trend where people talk about going monk mode or do not disturb mode. And it's really about honing in on doing the actions that you need to pursue your goals and tuning out all the noise, removing all distractions. That's what I really mean by disappearing for 6 months. It's not like I went to some private island and like wiped myself off the face of the earth, but it's more so about really putting my head down and grinding on what matters most to me. So this 6 month journey really started for me in July of 2023 when I quit my corporate job to pursue my own passions with content creation. The story of how and why I quit my job is really long. I have a YouTube video about it. I'll link it somewhere down below. Long story short, I was burnt out, wanted to pursue my passion, so I quit without a backup plan. And my goal during this period of time was really to monetize and hopefully replace my 9 to 5 salary, which did not happen. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But that is really when my journey started. When I quit my job, I knew I had to kind of disappear because one, I was foregoing income and I was giving up this financial stability to have the time and pursue my dreams. So I knew I had to be incredibly dedicated to doing that. I could not just be, messing around and hanging out with people and just enjoying unemployment because I was doing this for a very specific purpose. And that was to pursue my dreams as a content creator. And because I didn't have the stability of a 9 to 5 during this time and a stable income, I was also very constrained on spending time with other people because it felt like the clock was ticking. I only had so much in my savings that could pay for expenses, so I couldn't be out there hanging out with people, doing fun things during unemployment because I just didn't have the funds. So with that being said, as soon as I quit my job, I knew I had to start hustling. I knew that this was my precious time to really focus on what mattered most to me, and it was transformative. So let me go back to what I said earlier, which is I failed my goal of being able to replace my 9 to 5 income with content creation. But I gained something so much more powerful. It made the 6 months worth it. And that thing that I gained was I built the foundation for future continued success. Now, let me give you a little bit more context about me. Growing up, maybe ever since I was 15 or 16 in high school, I have always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I have always wanted to do something on my own, not be confined to a 9 to 5. And throughout my college, I have just started and stopped so many businesses. I tried drop shipping. I tried ordering my own eyelashes for an eyelash company. I tried starting a YouTube so long ago, and all of those things never panned out. I always quit before I ever saw success. I could never make a dime. I could never consistently stay on track to pursuing those goals and dreams because of my mindset. It's funny because if you look at my life right now, if you look very surface level, not that much has changed. I live in the same place. I'm still dating the same person. I'm back at a 9 to 5 job. I still work from home. All of those very artificial things in my life have stayed the same. But the biggest thing that has changed is my identity and my self-concept. And that for me has completely shifted my understanding of myself and reality. It has completely shifted the way in which I approach life. And I'm just so much more fulfilled and content and excited about what's next. So that brings me to the two main things that I would say have done a 360 in my life. And that is one, self-concept, and 2, my community. And if you think about it, that's really like the crux of life. It's how you engage with yourself and how you engage with others. So let's talk about the first thing, which is identity and self-concept. For me, that has absolutely transformed, because when I look back at who I used to be, it becomes very, very clear why I was never able to succeed in the things that I wanted to. Because I was scared of failing, because I was scared of being perceived, because I was so afraid that I was not good enough. By focusing on my self-concept and by reworking these limiting beliefs, I am now truly, I think, my most powerful self, and that has enabled me to continue to stay consistent. It is the thing that after that 6-month period has allowed my lifestyle to change. It's the reason that, very shortly after the turn of the year, I'd only been doing YouTube for 3 months and I was able to get monetized, which I think is incredibly fast. And I was also able to get my blog monetized. The reason those things happened for me is because I didn't give up. And I truly believe that anyone is capable of the success that they want if they do not stop trying, if they believe in themselves enough. Because the only time in which you are failing is if you quit. If you quit, you are guaranteeing that you are not succeeding. So by reworking a lot of my identity, a lot of my self-concept, getting through those limiting beliefs that were holding me back from taking the action I needed to, that was immensely powerful for setting my future self up for success and continued success. If I look back in my journey, one of the biggest things that I had to overcome is my fear of being perceived. And I think a lot of us might go through this when we're trying to do something new and we're trying to shift our identity and we're trying to improve ourselves. We see this area in which we want to pursue a better path for ourselves, but we are so scared to show up as that new version of ourselves because we don't want to be seen failing by people we know. For me, a big part of that was slowly using exposure therapy to actually start gradually desensitizing myself to overcome that fear. I was definitely afraid of being on camera. And as someone that wanted to be a content creator, that is something I needed to get over. So in order to push myself to do that, I did 2 challenges. One, I did a talking to the camera challenge where I forced myself to talk to the camera every single day for 30 days. And then 2, I did another challenge where every single day I pushed myself a little bit further out of my comfort zone to record myself. At first, it was just recording my day-to-day, and then it slowly shifted to recording myself outside of the house and in busy places. And that really built my confidence because I showed myself that I could take the action I needed to be successful in the career that I wanted. When I thought about what was holding me back the most, I really thought about my brain as a software system. And it's this program, this computer program where all of the code previously was funky. It did not know how to give me the output that I wanted because it was broken, it wasn't debugged, and it wasn't running the most optimally. So when I went in and did all the internal work to really rewire and solidify who I believe myself to be and to focus my energy on seeing myself as a successful person, that took out all the kinks. It debugged the program. It made the code more efficient so that anything that I take in, the output is what I want it to be. And the output is geared towards success. When you go through this process, it is going to be painful because you are effectively saying goodbye to all of the things that made you comfortable in that previous identity of you. You are saying goodbye to all of those limiting beliefs, but quite frankly, a lot of those things that we have that hold us back are protective mechanisms. And it's very scary to get rid of them and move forward. So give yourself grace and time when you're moving from that because it is a scary and painful process, especially if you need to go in and really be honest with yourself about all of your limiting beliefs. And that actually segues me into the community aspect, which is the second part of this, because for me, one of the biggest things I had to let go of in my old identity were some of my relationships. Because when you are shifting from who you were to who you want to be, your relationships are still attached to that old identity of you. And you can either put in the effort and time to help them grow and transition to this new you, or some of them will dissipate. What came to light for me was just how much of my community was entrenched in my own scarcity mindset of not having friends. Because I am an anxious attachment girly. So for me, a lot of my relationships were based on this fear of being abandoned. And it was really hard for me to let go of these people who didn't share the same values as me anymore. It was scary because I thought I wouldn't have any friends left if I just let them go. But what you realize is that it doesn't serve either of you to hold onto relationships where your values are misaligned. And this is no shade to anyone that I've let go of in my life, but it's like we just weren't compatible anymore. When you start focusing on yourself, when you start understanding who you are and becoming more in touch with yourself and your authenticity, some people will not come along with you on that journey. You need to learn when to let go of those people, even if it's hard. And on the flip side of that, I realized just how important communities are. Because when I started to focus on myself, when I was working on my content, I wanted to immerse myself in a space where people showed me that the dreams and aspirations I had could be achieved. The more I did that, the more I believed in myself and the more I could continue to sustain this period of hustling and make it into my lifestyle. I truly believe I would not be where I am today if I did not meet this small circle of creators that I have. Shout out to Rebecca Joy, Stacey York, and Sophia Yuna. I'm gonna link their YouTube channels, but they literally are my inspiration. They're the reason that I can stay on track with this journey to this day, because they've normalized to me just how much work it might take to get to where I want to go. When I went through the 6-month period, it wasn't just like I was completely isolated, shut off from the world. It was more so that I was in a vacuum and being inundated by content and materials that showed me my dream life is achievable. I was really able to hone in and have laser focus towards my goals because I took out all the noise. I took out all of the things that were not in support of this new person that I wanted to be. And then I fortified the areas that would continue to push me to persevere, to push me to grow. And that was focusing on my identity and then being very, very precise and selective about the environment I was in. And that was my community and the content I was digesting. Okay, I know this has been quite the spiel, so I want to wrap it up with a few key takeaways from this video. The first one being focus on your identity. Focus on overcoming all of your limiting beliefs. Focus on what the ideal version of you and your up-leveled self would look like, because your self-concept is the thing that is going to drive your actions, and your actions are the things that are going to lead you to success. So work on self-concept, because that is the foundation. That is your little machine that will gear you towards the outcomes that you want. And while you're doing that, acknowledge that this can be a painful and long process. It does take work, so give yourself grace while going through it. And then the next part of that is be precise about your environments and the people that you will let into your life, because when you're on this journey, you will realize how finite your time energy and resources are. So spend them where it matters most. Shedding your old identity, shedding your old community is going to be painful. These are things that are natural when you're going through a period of self-discovery and focus, but it is absolutely worth it and incredibly rewarding. That concludes our video for today. Thank you so much for listening to my journey. I hope some of this resonated with you, and if you are going through something similar, I would love to hear about how things are going for you. Give me all of the goodness down below, and I will see you next time. Okay? Bye!